Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello, and welcome back to the Forgot to Save podcast, the weekly podcast where my good friend Stone and I get together and we play and discuss those games that had some sort of impact on the industry or maybe just held some sort of sentimental or other value to one of us that for some reason we never got around to playing. Stone, it's been a little bit because we didn't get together last week, so I'd say we have some things to catch up on, but first, just, how are you?
Oh, I'm just dandy. How are you?
I'm doing all right. A little bit of a head cold going on. I don't know. Maybe the same for you?
Sorry, say again?
A little head cold? You got a little something going on up top?
No,
No?
I just tried to drink a lot of water and it went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, you were fighting for your life and I'm just fighting germs.
Yeah, I was muted, so you didn't hear the panic attack I was having. But
Got it.
I'm good now. I'm sorry that you have a head cold, though.
It's only just starting. It's been going around in the house. I'm kind of the last holdout. And it finally decided, hey, with the weekend coming up, and I actually took a little time off because I've been in this crazy work mode for 5 weeks. And I was like, I deserve a couple days. And my body said, you sure do. Tell you what, I'm going to make sure that you feel horrible the whole time.
This is a recurring theme in your household.
Yeah. So turns out kindergartners just collect germs.
Yeah,
it is a pastime.
I've never heard before. Yeah.
Yeah, normally kids, super clean, super hygienic, very thoughtful when it comes to, not touching their face and then touching yours. It's an anomaly. It is.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, this has never been documented before, so I'm surprised to hear that this is your experience.
Maybe I could get an article up in PLOS ONE, peer review, get my name out there in the scientific communities. I think we've probably dragged this one through the mud enough. Yeah.
Actually, I do. Have you ever had anything published? Because you, if people don't know, studied herpetology.
I did study herpetology. I got my degree in environmental science way back when. I myself have never actually been published as like an author or a co-author, but I have been in a couple of the resources and references, as well as in the material section, because I have assisted in some of these studies that have been published. So,
That's very cool.
And do you want to know my actual claim to fame?
Please.
Okay, so there is a BBC documentary, not nearly as big as, Blue Earth and Life?
Yeah.
What's the big one? Planet Earth.
Planet Earth and Life were both big ones, yeah.
Anyway, obviously I watch all of those, but there's another one called Life in Cold Blood, which was a miniseries all about reptiles and amphibians. And one of my professors, who I actually traveled down to Panama and Costa Rica with back when I was in college, he was highly regarded as one of the leading researchers into a frog called Atelopus zteci, which is a Panamanian golden frog. And there is this fungus. Sorry, this is not the purpose of this podcast, but I'm going to... This is actually pretty cool. There is this fungus going around that is wiping out frog and salamander populations. It's called Batrachochytrium dendrobatitis, also known as just the chytrid, and it is just wiping them out, just species after species. And this absolutely gorgeous golden frog was on the verge of going extinct. And so as a last-ditch effort, they actually went in, my professor and actually some of the BBC crew went in and field collected the last adults that they could find, and they brought them back, and now they're actually in zoos, and a few in America, and then just across the world there are breeding experiments going on, successful experiments, where the hope is once we can find a cure or an eradication method to get rid of the chytrid fungus, we can reintroduce these animals, which was super cool. I missed meeting David Attenborough by a week, unfortunately, but my claim to fame is when they were down there in Panama with my professor, they used a shot of this one salamander. It's called a bolete-glossid salamander. They are super cool arboreal bromeliad-dwelling salamanders with webbed feet, and there's a shot of one, a nice close-up shot. It's a gorgeous salamander. Yeah, I caught that.
Nice.
I caught that salamander. So when you're watching it and you see that adorable shot of its salamander face, BlueLizardJello caught that. I had my hands on that.
That's lovely. Yeah, it reminded me of my hatred of the Chytrid. Just like when you said it, my blood started to boil all over again.
It's awful. And it's just such a debilitating. What it does is it actually keratinizes the skin, and it, keratin being the same or the same compound that makes up like your fingernails. And so it actually hardens the skin. And if you know anything about amphibians, they breathe and they absorb moisture through their skin. So if that becomes hardened like leather, they die. Yeah. So it's awful.
Brutal. What is the benefit of that for the fungus?
That's a pretty good point. I don't know. It must have something to do with the proliferation of the spores. Maybe it's when the animal eventually kicks the bucket.
Right.
Depending on where they are, it's able to, produce fruiting bodies and spores that way. But that's a valid point, because normally anything that parasitizes, or even if you just think of viruses, which I don't know if you know, but there's actually been one going around globally for humans for the last few years. Typically, the flu. That's exactly. That's what we're calling it. But they tend to adapt towards non-lethality.
Sure.
Because if you're killing your host, what's the point? So I don't know. That's a valid question.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's cool to see like a macro view of an ecosystem, but it is always devastating when it requires intervention. But it's a very fascinating subject. I was interested in your academia bona fides. But
no published credits, but I've done a lot in the herpetological community, continue to do so, and if I never get my name in a paper, that's okay. I just enjoy what we do.
Oh, actually, a minor credit to you. My wife, who's a therapist, has been in many sessions where people were describing the sunk cost fallacy. She said it has been rough to not laugh because of you saying that you were interested in the sunk cost fallacy. So she said she thinks of you every time somebody starts to describe the sunk cost fallacy.
See, and this is why we do this. This is why we come together week after week.
Professional lives.
To ruin people's professional lives, to talk about frog killing funguses. I mean, it's in the name. Forgot to save.
Forgot to save the frogs.
Oh, that's horrible. So let's move on, because I'm now both confused and saddened by what we've talked about so far.
Sure.
Let's get into our usual early topic. Stone, it's been a couple weeks. Yeah. Dare I ask, what have you been playing?
I will give you two guesses.
Is one of them a game within the Persona genre?
You are 100% correct. I am. Last time I said I wasn't sure if I was going to 100% it.
You're beyond that.
It's still, I do a lot of the social aspects and stuff. I have been concentrating a lot of the dungeon crawling. I was just grinding really hard last night, and I'm 99 with every party member, which is max in Persona.
Okay.
The other thing is that so kind of like Pokemon, there's like a compendium of every persona, and part of 100% is fusing every single persona. So I'm behind on a few of those. So I'm not sure if I'm going to eke it out, but there's a very, very, very difficult optional boss toward the end of the game, and I was grinding to take on that boss. So when I go back, that's going to be my next thing, is a very difficult boss challenge. Okay. And even if you're max level, it is not a cakewalk. I mean, it requires like all of your techniques together. So,
all right,
it's been a tough one. Other than that, when that gets too stressful, I've been playing Pocket Card Jockey.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we got together, last episode for everyone else. Absolutely adorable and hilarious, yet you said full of content game that just not shadow dropped on the Switch.
Definitely a surprise announcement. And like same day, which is crazy. I love the 3DS one, so I don't know if I told you, I like kind of quote unquote brought over one of my other horses. They did excellent. Like you play out their whole lives. Like you start from age 3, and then you give like a certain number of tournaments before they hit age 4, a certain number, derbies, I guess, in horse racing, but like a certain number of derbies before they're age 5, and then 5 is like split. They just call it maturity, and then it's split into like first half maturity, second half, and they go off and they live on your farm. And then when they're on our farm, you can breed them with other horses. So I had a killer horse. I'm not joking. The entirety of this horse's race life was only first and second place. I never got anything below second place. But it also kind of stinks because in the game, there's first place and then there's last place. Like if you're second or below, you're in last place as far as the rewards and stuff are concerned.
So that's very much the motto of Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, I think of it every single time. Yes.
If you're not first, you are in fact last.
That is a Game Freak's policy with Pocket Card Jockey. So I had
it's honestly healthy.
Yeah. I had an excellent horse. She is racing maturity. She's on the farm, so I'm trying to raise a really good male horse. But yeah, that was Rolling Funyun Jr. Has since retired, and I'm currently working with, I believe it's Roasted Apothecary. I don't know. Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that right now, Roasted Apothecary is my mainstay, and he's doing excellently. I think I'm going to really breed a high-quality horse.
Yeah.
But that's been my grind.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Just going back to, you said that, there's a certain number of races before age 3 or before age 4, age 5. What if we, hear me out, what if we actually did that with kids?
It is a really good question. I think legally this has been litigated a lot.
Sure.
It's called the NCAA. And we do, in fact, get underage people to compete with each other and then don't pay them.
Well, more so what I'm thinking is, all right, so now you're 5. Now you have a personality, you're talking,
Sure.
You can accomplish some menial tasks on your own. Now, if you want to hit age 6, it's not a matter of just survival for a year, because who cares? You're not even doing the hard work, your parents are.
Yeah.
To hit age 6, though, you need to hit like these 3 milestones, these achievements or challenges. Then you earn your year 6.
That is a great idea. That is one of the side quests of Persona. Not a joke. Something very similar. You are raising elementary kids to race against each other.
No.
Yep. That happens. But more importantly,
you play the weirdest games.
I think this will never work because when a child is choosing to compete with someone else, what is the thing they always say every time?
When a child competes?
Well, like with another child. What is the competition every time? My dad could beat up your dad.
Oh, yeah,
so kids,
that's true.
If you tried to do that, they would just flip it on you. So you can try all you want, but you're going to have to fight a lot of dads if you do that.
Oh, see, and I couldn't beat up another dad.
But yeah, they do not know the size difference down that low.
Yeah. No, I don't want them to be putting me in the ring with other dads.
Yeah.
Maybe other like young siblings. Sure. I could take on another kid's young sibling.
My dad could fight your slightly older sibling.
Oh my word. Pocket Card Jockey and Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah, the demo, I guess I haven't really been playing much else. The demos for the Princess Peach game came out. I played it. I didn't know it was like a little kid kind of game, and it was terrible. So I played that for like 15 minutes.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've heard of Unicorn Overlord.
Why does that sound familiar?
It's another Atlas Tactics game. It's been advertised a lot in Nintendo Directs, and I think PlayStation was just promoting it. But they put out a demo for that too, and it just really wasn't my style.
Yeah. Okay.
So I put like maybe another 15 minutes into that, but it really has only been Persona Pocket Card Jockey.
That's fair. Now, going back to Persona real quick, just because you shared me with, let me get words out.
Sure.
You shared something with me the other day that was absolutely hilarious. You actually thought it might have been AI at first.
Yes.
Can you share? Because that was amazing.
I got a YouTube recommendation to me. So actually, believe it or not, I don't watch a lot of Persona stuff. So I saw a Persona video get recommended to me that I was going to skip over, but in the thumbnail was a very much older woman. It honestly looked like she was in like the backdrop was very limited, but I thought it was like a retirement home. And she had all of these stuffed animals on the sofa behind her of different RPG characters, and she was reviewing a like collector's kind of backpack for Persona 3 that a local gaming company had sent her. So I was like, well, I have to watch this. How do you say no to this video? And I watched it, and yeah, I did actually think it was like AI generated for a bit. But I swear to you, everything she said in that video was dead on. This lady was like an absolute die hard.
Yeah.
Like I almost said real Persona fan. That doesn't exist. Anybody's a real fan of anything. But it just started, and I was like, I shouldn't be shocked, but I was like so shocked just by the setting and everything that I was like, is this like AI or something, or is she reading a script?
So her name, or her channel name, is Britta Food for Dogs.
Yeah, it was great. I'm definitely actually going to check out more of her stuff. I think it's very cool. There was a big announcement for Persona 3. Sorry, I don't want to keep talking about it, but just very quickly, Persona 3 famously has two prominent versions of it. There's the original version, but the two versions that people care about are the P3 Portable, which was for the PSP, and famously you could choose between a male or female protagonist, and people really like it because the female protagonist has a lot more characterization. The male is a very silent, nothing protagonist, really. And then there's P3 FES, or FES, which came out for PS2, which is kind of the way that Persona 5 Royal is to Persona 5, where it just adds a lot of extra content. But P3 FES included an extra kind of epilogue story called The Answer. For a long time, there was speculation on whether or not that would be included in Persona 3 Reload when they made it. There was no word on it. I actually have been intentionally in the dark to see if it would appear at the end of it, so I didn't even know it wasn't included, but apparently it did not launch with the game. But yesterday at the Xbox conference, I guess it's 2 days ago for us, sorry. At the Xbox conference, they finally announced that DLC. Apparently they wanted to ship with that DLC in it, but they ran into a bunch of setbacks during development and couldn't include it. And it turns out they were getting such a big reception from people that Sega dedicated extra resources, so that's coming as DLC, I believe, in September. So all that's to say, I wonder if she has a video on it. I want to check it out.
So I'm on her channel now, and I'm perusing. Her name is Britta Food for Dogs. I don't know if she talks about exactly how old she is. I'm looking at her most popular videos. From 2 years ago, she has a video called How I Got Into Gaming. An old lady discovers a wonderland. Yeah. And in it, she talks about issues like depression and seeking professional help, and how she actually found some comfort and solace in video games. Excuse me. 2.7 million views, by the way.
Yeah. And
the top comment. Could you care to guess who the top comment is on the video? Any idea?
Kojima. I don't know.
It's not Kojima. It's Shirley Curry, a.k.a. Skyrim Granny.
Sure, yeah.
Who says, I greatly enjoyed your video, Britta. As an 86-year-old gamer, I started gaming back in the 90s. I love gaming still. I love this era of gaming content videos that are coming out. Sure. And if it's this, I am on board.
Yeah. And for
love
the record, the reason I specifically was in disbelief of this is just because typically when people get into games, I mean, I just kind of assume she didn't start in like deep into gaming just based on her age, you know? They don't typically go for RPGs.
Right.
And they're not as hard. I mean, she was in a Shin Megami Tensei 3 shirt. Like that is, that's like you're investing 80 to 120 hours in these games. And like her sofa, I mean, lined across it was characters from all kinds of RPGs. So I was just like, this person is sinking an insane amount of time into it. And if you're like someone that is not from the realm of gaming, it seems like a big investment. So that's just what caught me off guard. Not necessarily that people this age group don't play games or anything, you know?
I just think it's so cool, especially like you said. It's not like she grew up with this. She found her way into this, and I just think that's really cool, and definitely opens up discussion that maybe, you know, food for thought for another time. Is just, you know, what do video games mean to the modern era and society and what are its roles, really. You know, if you consider gaming as having roles, which I do.
It kind of got me thinking too, like, and this is not something we would do on the podcast probably, but this is something in the scope of the podcast. Like, if I were to look at RPGs today, and I had somebody that was like, I really wanted to get into RPGs, like, what would be the entry point?
Sure.
And I immediately had so many ideas. Like, we're in such an excellent time, even if you just want to play something that came out in the last 3 or 4 years, in just RPGs. There's such a wealth of, like, beginner accessible, great content that's going to give people, like I said, 80 plus hours.
Right.
So it's just so
Which
cool,
is just,
and it's cool to see somebody that's like a funnel for that.
Awesome. And I just I made sure that we have the link in our Discord chat so we can add this to the description. So if you want to see Britta Food for Dogs, a very real person, just absolutely enthralled by the world of gaming, especially as Stone said, the RPGs, go check her out. Tell her we said hi.
What?
She'll be quite confused.
Yeah,
but tell her anyway.
Don't do that. It's fine. But yeah, I'm gonna probably check out more of her videos. Anyway, this is 20 minutes of what I've been playing.
Yeah.
2 games. What have you been playing?
Oh, nothing. I haven't played anything.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing. Not even the game for this week. So I was afraid to tell you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we are playing Ori this week.
So do you want... Oh, shoot. Do you want to go back to talk about the frog fungus again? I got
down
material.
With the Kitrid. You know, the down with the sickness.
That was pretty good. No, I have. I've been playing. Not a ton. Work is still pretty crazy. Looks to be kind of a light at the end of the tunnel soon. So that'll be exciting. But I have been in my free time, even during my little breaks throughout the day, I've actually been booting games up and recording when I can. But I have been playing, finally, Dragon's Dogma. I can finally say that I'm somewhat living up to the promise I made several episodes ago.
It's been so fun.
It has been. It's been a blast to go back to the world of Dragon's Dogma. The hype around Dragon's Dogma 2 is unreal. Some of the previews that are coming out are just absolutely glowing. And we just got word that there's actually a character creator and a pawn creator app that you can download for PC and consoles right now ahead of the game, which is great because I actually want to take some time, but I don't want to do it when I have the game in my hand.
Yeah.
But I've been playing Dragon's Dogma, recording a series where I'm playing as a Mystic Knight on hard. It's a vocation I've never played, on a difficulty I've never played, and that's been really fun to learn. I've also been playing some Elden Ring, finally getting back into the swing of things and prepping for the DLC here in just a few short months. What I just played, and I'm glad he's sleeping because I don't want to break his heart. I was actually just playing the Bluey video game with Mr. Blue Lizard Puddin', our 5-year-old, and it's atrocious. It is. I just kept shaking my head. And I guess, you know, for kids, obviously it's fine. It holds their attention because it really does look and sound like you're in a Bluey episode.
I saw the GDC run. GDQ run. Yeah.
But it is just, the jank is unbelievable. And they are catering to, attention spans of 30 seconds or less.
Yeah.
I mean, I kid you not, each activity, like you play a game called Keepy Uppy, which is just when you hit the balloon, don't let it hit the floor.
Yeah.
Stone, I kid you not, you can only hit it 3 times before the game stops and you move to a new location to do it again. And you just do that with every single activity. What really bothers me is that, number one, and maybe it's different on another console. We are playing the Switch version, which I got from my local library. Shout out local library.
Nice.
And what was I saying? I'm playing on the Switch. I don't know if the other consoles are different, but when the characters pick something up, there's no animation for it. It's just their paw and then like a sprite floating in front of it. Not even floating still. Not even like a keyframe to the hand. Like the hand is either moving or staying still, but the object is just floating clearly right in front of it. And it just bothers me to no end.
Yeah.
I mean, the money printing machine that is Bluey deserves better.
Yeah, I've heard it's like a top tier show.
It really and truly is. It's one of those, put it on, quote unquote, for the kids. And yet there you are 20 minutes later, 3 episodes in, like, I've learned so much.
Yeah.
I've been touched so deeply. It really is. And just, I think for parents, one of the coolest things, I know this is a gaming podcast, but the parents are real. Like they do play with their kids and they dote on their kids, but they get tired and they get frustrated and they need time to themselves and they're vocal about it. And it's just a very cool, realistic representation. Still setting a really high standard for parents, but still good to see, even the perfect parent gets tired every now and then. I like that.
Yeah, I've heard that from many parents. And I know a lot of people, like a lot of adults that like watch it with no children present.
Yeah, sure. I totally understand. And, if you want something just clean and wholesome and a perfect escape from broadly gestures to everything, you could definitely do worse than Bluey.
Sure.
So Bluey, a little bit tonight, Dragon's Dogma, Elden Ring. I don't know how much I can talk about it, actually. This is kind of cool. I actually have a couple of projects that are under NDA.
Ooh.
Yeah. One of them I definitely can't mention, although I will say this. I have played the demo on video, but I'm doing some work behind the scenes for that. And then another one, I believe I'm allowed to at least talk about it. It's a game called Codex Lost. And it's just a passion project of, I think he's a one-man team. And it has, there's obviously a lot of jank to it. It's not even considered alpha. This is like one of his first builds he's putting out. And he invited myself and a few others to check it out. But there's a weird amount, like a crazy amount of depth to the game itself. It's you play as a sorcerer or wizard, but it's the spell creation and interactions that are just really, really unique. And you have to kind of craft spells in such a certain way to tackle certain puzzles. And I'm trying to think of what it's kind of like. What's that game that every pixel has physics? Is it Noita?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the like dungeon crawling one.
Yeah. It reminds me of that, or another indie game I've been seeing lately called Magicraft, where you combine spells in certain ways and the different attributes that you can add to it really completely change the way the spell interacts with the world around you. But I'm really curious to dive more into it. In fact, I was just talking to the dev earlier today. He's really curious to hear my thoughts. So, awesome. A couple things I can't talk about too much, which is just always fun and exciting to say as a small creator. But
yeah, I have a feeling I know what the other game is, but I won't even put you in a position to say yes or no. Yeah,
I that's the first time. Like I've been under embargo many times before. I've only ever had to sign a legally binding NDA twice, and this is the second time.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy until I realized I screwed up, and now I'm in a lot of trouble and blacklisted from every gaming.
This game never comes out, bro.
That's it though.
It's been you've been playing a lot.
I have been. Like I said, I've been sneaking it in.
Yeah.
I look at my day and I kind of had this epiphany of, I always say I don't have this time, but maybe I do. They're just in not the big chunks that I'd like them to be in.
Sure.
But if I can just never stop moving, and never use the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I haven't had a sip of water in 2 days. I don't feel good, but I've recorded so much.
You guys are going to get so much content before I die.
So much content.
I don't know. I'm excited to see. I've actually just, every time you post it, I have a TV upstairs in my office, and I throw it up on the TV immediately. And it's been super fun. I've been watching it. I feel like I've been playing it almost.
Yeah. Well, it's probably because I'm playing so poorly. Like, this is what it would be like. Yeah.
Don't drag me down with you. I would be much worse.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
It's been, it's been a busy week at work. And you know what? Actually, I have only played so few games just because I run that tabletop campaign.
Yes.
I'm just having the worst writer's block, and it's been so difficult to try to get through. So I've been trying to distract myself, and it's like, I'll watch something, maybe I'll play something. I don't know what to do, and I'm just paralyzed. Period.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard. There's this this program out there called ChatGipt. I think it's called ChatGipt, and it can write things for you without any creativity whatsoever.
Yeah. No. But yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to throw it out there. I can give you a link.
No, when I did,
and a referral code.
When I started the campaign, I would write an entire thing, and then if I got really bad writer's block for small stuff, like, hey, what's a trap I could use in this theme? So I would describe all my characters, describe the settings, and I would do that. And then there was a lawsuit where they were getting sued for stealing everyone's writings and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm never using this again.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No,
I was using it as like
weird.
a crutch for really minor stuff. But I have a whole notepad with ideas for sessions, period. But this is like, there's a very specific, I'm kind of doing like almost like an Olympics for this part of the session. But I used a lot of my ideas earlier already. This is like a continuing coming back to this event. And I'm just having a hard time doing what I have in my head mechanically in the game. And it's just like impassable. But yeah, that's all to say that it's cool to see you being able to maximize your time. It's inspiring.
I'm trying. I want to produce more regularly. I want to play games more regularly. And I want to play games as well as just for fun. Like actually give myself that, hey, it's okay to not record this and just play. Yeah. So speaking of my local library, I've actually just kind of been on a hold spree where I'm just like looking to see what games they have available. And it's going to be a great opportunity to play games that normally I wouldn't pay for. The new Avatar game, The Frontiers of Pandora. Basically,
from what I've heard.
I've heard mixed things.
Sorry. I was thinking The Last Airbender.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, no. No, basically the Far Cry, but in the Avatar universe, right?
Yes, I saw Donkey's video on it, I think.
I thought it looked, pretty enough that I'd like to try it someday, but I'm not going to buy it. But guess what? The library has it. So I have that coming at some point. The new Prince of Persia, actually, is actually currently on my library waiting for me. What else? Xenoblade Chronicles. I've heard great things about that. And I've heard like it's a really tough platformer and Metroidvania, so that's cool.
I know you're not about to say Xenoblade to me.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Why? What are you doing?
I don't know. There's something about it. Every time I see it, I go, that's a game I want to play. I don't know why.
Okay, I never would pressure you to play Persona, but if you're going to play Xenoblade, drop it and play Persona. I'm sorry. I know there's a ton of people that love Xenoblade for good reason. I played Xenoblade, and the best way I could describe it was that the UI and all the characters, it feels like you're playing an MMO, and it's not like a welcoming feeling to me for new
Not
players.
A good MMO.
Yeah. I didn't say that. But just for new people, the UI is very busy. It feels like it's a lot, and it's very intimidating, especially if you're not into RPGs. And if you want, like, I was just saying, I was thinking of, like, new good RPGs to get into. If you want, like, an RPG to try, I think Persona 5 is significantly better. If you want, like, a raw, like, classic RPG experience, Dragon Quest 11 is a great one. That's also on Switch. There's a lot. If you want to try Xenoblade, try Xenoblade. That's fine. I'm just saying, I feel like it can be overwhelming for new people.
Okay. No, that's fair. And I want to say that they actually have, let's see, Persona 5 Tactica. What's Tactica?
Tactica is the tactics game.
Oh, okay.
I have only played an hour of it, but you'd think a Persona game that is a tactics is literally the perfect game for me. And it did not grab my attention, but I only played the tutorial, so that's not a fair assessment. And
what is PS5 Royal?
P5 Royal.
P5 Royal, excuse me?
Yeah, Persona 5 Royal. That's Persona 5 with all the extra content and everything.
Oh, okay. So they do have a PlayStation 5 copy that's available from another library. Maybe I'll cancel Xenoblade and give this one a go if you think that I might get more into this one.
I'm sure there's a lot of people screaming, but I think Persona 5 is such a better introduction if you're not already hardcore into RPGs. I think if you like Persona 5 and you want another RPG, then go with Xenoblade. But for a first serious RPG, I say in quotes, Persona is great. It's very approachable. Plus, okay, so I've said that Persona takes a little bit to get started. I mean, you need to invest like 4 hours to start seeing all the mechanics, but like to get a feel for the game, 8 to 10 hours.
Wow.
Don't let it intimidate you because it goes by quickly, but still to be like, I don't like Persona 5, you kind of have to get to like the 8-hour mark, which I'll just be real, it sucks to invest that much time.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But what I will say is Persona 5 is very smartly set up where the absolute beginning is in the middle of the game, and it drops you in, and it's like, this is what you will build to. Like, this is the opening intro, the cinematics and everything are like, hey, you'll get here. This is the promise we're making you, you know?
So I want to ask you something off the cuff, and then we can move into why we're here, which is Ori. But
sure. For people that haven't caught the bit, it's the Stanley parable.
It's the Stanley parable. In Persona 5, you said like 8 to 10 hours really to get into the game. Would you say
if you like it or don't like it?
Okay. And then you said what, 4-ish hours to
get all the mechanics.
Okay. Do you think let's talk about the mechanics thing. So 4 hours to get to, see all the mechanics. Is it time well spent, or did they just kind of muck around too much and they could have really shortened that whole prologue tutorial mechanic introduction to get people into the good stuff faster? Or would it have taken away?
I would say that this is a catch-22.
Okay.
Because story-wise, the pacing for why it takes so long makes absolute sense. But as a new player, of course you would want to be engaged more and feel like you're being shackled. So it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Okay.
I think as far as replay value down the line and stuff, it makes sense because you, as the player, are learning things as your character is learning it in real time. And as you said, Persona takes place on a calendar system. So it's like, day 1, this happens. Day 2, you learn this thing. Day 3, you learn this thing until, you're 2 weeks in the in-game time, and now you're open.
Okay.
And it also kind of stinks because there is a character who's like the mascot character, and they are with you all the time. And they will tell you in the beginning, like, hey, don't go downstairs or go outside and do this. You have to go to bed tonight because you have a big day tomorrow or something. So it feels like the game's artificially restricting you when really it just hasn't explained these mechanics yet.
Gotcha.
So, yes, there's a reason it takes so long. Could it be shorter? Absolutely. Would that disrupt the pacing of the game and make it feel more front-loaded than back-loaded? Yeah. So it's a no-win situation, kind of.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think that's completely acceptable answer.
Yeah. That said,
all right.
First-time RPGs, it's not just because I'm biased toward Persona. I think it's a really great one. But you know what? I think you would actually really like sorry, my throat is not having a good time today. I swallowed that water, and then it's been an issue ever since. The Tales of series.
Okay.
They most recently made Tales of Arise. I really got hooked on the GameCube version, which is Tales of Symphonia, which I think is one of the best RPGs ever. But the reason I say you would like it is because you do get encounters on the map, but every time you do, you switch to an arena, and then it's an action game. So combat is an action game, and it was this way in Symphonia, and on the GameCube, and I don't remember if it's this one on the PS5 because I played like 5 or 6 hours when it came out. But depending on how you engage in combat, you will unlock specific abilities geared toward how you're playing, like your play style. So if you're doing a lot of like specific melee stuff, you get more melee combos. If you're doing a lot more like ranged or magic abilities, you get more of that. So you kind of branch depending on your play style, and the game like evolves that way. So yeah, more of an action RPG route. I think another great starting one for you might be Tales of Arise.
Okay. Well, as we were speaking, I did, for now, cancel my Xenoblade and did put on Persona 5. No.
Xenoblade fans, I'm so sorry. I just think I don't want them to be turned off by the series.
Well, no, it's something that I don't even know why. I don't know anything about it. I think it's just the imagery that I've seen has drawn me in. I don't know, almost in this is probably the wrong analogy, almost like in a Shadow of Colossus sort of way.
Yeah.
Which I know the gameplay is nothing like that.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
But it's just always intrigued me.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the character designs.
Okay.
I would be lying if I said I was even comfortable with some of them.
Oh, okay.
But that's fine. People like what people like, but it's great, beautiful, colorful environments. And fun fact, the announcement for the Smash characters, Pyra and Mithra, who were from Xenoblade 2, are made literally from the same development team in the same engine as they made Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So they literally, in their own custom tools, made the trailer for them in Smash. So that's
okay.
Cool. They're,
That is cool.
They're good at what they do. People love the series for a reason, you know. Also, I'm kicking myself because my wife told me to tell you something about libraries. She's also a big library advocate, and I'm forgetting every time that you mention it. You've talked about it like 3 times already.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So you still don't remember what it was, just something.
Remember, but this is me telling her I remembered that I forgot something.
Yeah. All right. Well, when it dawns to you or dawns on you, you go ahead and let me know.
Okay. Stanley Parable.
Stanley Parable. Where do you want to start? Overall feelings?
Well, I think that's how we start most times.
This one just feels so different.
Yeah. It's hard. This is going to require a lot of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, overall thoughts, what did you think?
I hate the Stanley Parable. I don't dislike the Stanley Parable. I really, truly despise this game.
Okay. Wow.
The gameplay loop is a blast.
Sure.
The narrator, fantastic. The fourth wall breaking and the jokes when you go against what the narrator says, very, very well done.
Sure.
You know, the writing is simple and workable, and I dig it. The game is so nihilistic and depressing.
Sure.
That I don't know who this game was made for.
I overall really like the game, but I will not play more of the game.
Okay.
But I really liked it. I just feel like I've experienced everything I'm going to get from it. But I like that, and I would like to have a conversation about that. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, so I was playing last night, and I did record, okay? So I have, I think, like a 50-minute video that'll go live along with the podcast. So if you want to see my my initial several playthroughs, because, you know, they're very, very short runs, and you want to hear my running commentary, which isn't much because the narrator just talks incessantly. So it's hard to get a word in edgewise.
Yeah.
But you can see that on my channel. And then I did play a little bit after. I played for another like 20 or 30 minutes after, just to try to see more endings. Because there's something, I think in the Ultra Deluxe, which I didn't play. I played the standard version.
I did. So
You did the Ultra Deluxe?
yeah.
So I think they got a few more, and I think the total endings now in Ultra Deluxe is 42.
Okay.
I don't know if you read that.
I did not.
Okay. So I believe it's 42, a few less in the regular. I think I saw 5 or 6.
Okay.
Endings, something along those lines.
Sure.
The only ending that was at all happy, not that everything has to be happy-go-lucky. I mean, that's not life. I get it. But the only one that was somewhat quote-unquote happy was the freedom ending, where the doors slowly open and you walk outside. And even then, it's not quite happy because you don't even know why anything happened or why you're there, what happened to everyone else. I think what really just got to me was just the sense of dread and foreboding and pointlessness of it all. And it really, one of the reasons why I wanted to pick this set of games that you chose from was to have the conversation of what makes a game. What do you need to have within a piece of software for it to be considered a game? And this game really got me thinking.
Sure.
But it really kind of changed my perspective, because I kind of went into it thinking a game is, you know, a piece of software where the player has some sort of control over the outcome, or at least the procedures to get to the outcome, and it's meant to be enjoyed. And I kind of changed my perspective on the definition that I've come up with, because I didn't enjoy it, but I still consider Stanley Parable to be a not only functional but successful game in that right.
Sure. I wouldn't even say that a game's intended purpose is to be enjoyed. I would say it's probably to provoke an emotion. I believe that games are an art form, even ones that are intentionally made to frustrate people. You know?
Sure.
I mean, we've seen a huge comeuppance of troll games, you know?
Right, yes, very much so.
Do they make people happy? No, but by extension, they use it as a commentary to make other people happy, like watching people get frustrated. So
Right, that's true.
It's an
That's
interesting
very true.
question. Yeah, I'm happy to explore more. Yeah, let's talk about the actual content of the game, but let's wrap up with what makes a game, because I think that's a very interesting way to cap it. Because when you pitched these to me, you said these are all games that are not games.
Right, that is true.
Right.
I did use that verbiage. So, how would you describe the gameplay loop?
Well, let me first say a huge plus to playing the deluxe edition over the standard edition is that the deluxe edition does, in fact, and you will hate me for even bringing this up, reference Persona 3.
Does it really?
It very briefly. So if you play the deluxe version, it is kind of a joking, mocking celebration of the Stanley Parable. And it mocks the fact that they added DLC. You go through the DLC section, and it talks about how it assumed that this game would be up with the greats of their times, like Skyrim or Persona 3. So they do straight up say that Persona 3 is one of the great games it was hoping to be held against.
Wow. Okay.
So I heard that, and I was like, oh, he's going to hate me for this.
Wow. That okay. Well, I played the standard. So,
but as far as
good.
Your question, how would you describe the gameplay? The gameplay is kind of a mystery box for you to unravel. One of the main components is the fact that you have a narrator explaining what your next move is, and you have the agency to choose to follow that narration or divert from it. But that is, in fact, the game. Your agency is the game, not necessarily the gameplay itself, which is in itself a very interesting concept. But you're walking from place to place, following the narration, choosing not to. Very, very, very few puzzles, and the puzzle answers are all in the narration anyway.
Right.
So again, it constantly reminds you, if you're paying attention, that like the game is, do you have agency in this game? It's really fun. Would you agree with that? Is there anything you want to?
No, I would. And just to kind of dumb it down even further, just in case you haven't played, you play as a character named Stanley. For at least most of it. You work in an office where your job is quite literally just to push buttons in certain orders at certain times, and your orders come down from somewhere else and appear on your monitor, and then you just follow those prompts. And then one day, you are sitting at your computer for an hour, no orders come in. And that's very odd. So you get up to go look around, and it turns out everyone's gone. And you start to hear this voice, the narrator, telling you what you're thinking, what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing. And like Stone said, you can choose either to follow what the narrator's telling you is the next step, or completely break apart from it and do your own thing. And there's not limitless amount of choices. Typically, most choices are either A or B. A couple that have multiple or more than that, and then you go through and you get ending after ending after ending, depending on what you choose, and some endings build upon others. And
finding different routes that may be hidden.
Yeah, exactly. Finding different routes that might be hidden. And let me say this, though. This was just, it didn't start great.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, I hit a bug in the first minute.
Ooh.
And if you watch my video, you'll actually see me run around for several minutes trying to figure out what happened. So you wake up, you leave your office, you walk through like 2 other office rooms with cubicles, no one's in there, and then you walk down the hallway, and there's supposed to be a room with 2 doors. And the narrator says, and Stanley walked through the left door.
Right.
That hallway that ends in the room with the 2 doors was walled off. I couldn't go anywhere. So I walked around for several minutes like, all right, what am I missing? And I clicked on every door, which was funny because the narrator said, and Stanley kept checking every door, knowing they'd be locked because apparently he doesn't understand environmental cues, which was great. What a nice addition. But I ended up pausing the recording and just Googled, and apparently that's a somewhat common bug that door sometimes just walls off for no reason. So that was not a pleasant opening to the game for me.
That leads into one of only 2 cons I have for this game. And it's that I feel like the game asks for a lot of your time which it can be difficult for you to be willing to invest in it. Because if you have a route that's just disinteresting to you, or something like that, like the game is kind of a comedy too, so a lot of times you'll just have nothing to do. Like some of the endings are just doing nothing and waiting for the next prompt, and it can feel like a big investment of your time if you're not interested in this particular narrative.
That's very true. I found there was one in particular in the garage loop, if you will, where it just goes on. You just do a loop, and I'm sure you got to this one because you just kind of go down the stairs after you go, instead of going up to your boss's office.
That was the first one I did, actually.
And you just loop and loop and loop, and then you almost go into like this like sleep paralysis or something. Yeah. And it is just brutal. And I wanted so badly, after I got that ending, I wanted to go back down to see if I could alter that ending, but I refused because I didn't want to get stuck in that again, because other than you can restart at any point, but other than just restarting from the beginning, you just have to go through it.
Yeah, that's my other one. Some playthroughs just feel like a chore. Some are genuinely fun and interesting and has a lot of really great psychological concepts. But other ones feel like a chore, which and you never know what's coming up for you, and that's kind of it seems by design, you know, the game is trying to play with your agency, so that makes sense. But you know, here's what I'll say: if you don't like being the butt of the joke, if you're thin-skinned, this game probably isn't for you. Because you have to accept while you're playing it that the joke is on you. And when you look back in the game in retrospect, you'll probably enjoy it even more now that you're not actively being the butt of the joke, to say like, okay, this was a really funny situation. But yeah, when you're going through it, it also is like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah, I think one other thing that bothered me with the gameplay itself is I found several routes that I changed that still ended with the same ending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had it happen 2 or 3 times, I think 3, where I would change they were minor things, admittedly, but I thought with a game of, well, not 42 endings because I played their standard, but 30 plus endings, I thought every decision I make is going to impact it, and it just didn't.
Sure.
Some of them ended up in the same place, which was disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some times where I would be in the middle of like a path for one of the endings and want to divert from what they wanted you to do. Like, for example, there's one where I just had to keep hitting this one button, and I no longer wanted to because then it already told you not to.
Yes.
And it would not allow me to kind of divert from it. You have to commit to it completely.
That's right. And you know what? I did that one as well. And I was convinced that after so much time had passed, an ending would trigger.
Yeah.
And so I did. I stopped for, I don't know, like 4 minutes or so, 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I just did nothing. And eventually I said, well, forget it. Obviously, this is not what I'm supposed to do. I have to listen.
The gameplay I recorded has that ending where I'm standing still for like 5 minutes, so it's not frozen if you're watching the video component. That's where I wrote down. I literally was writing down as I was standing there, like, it asks for a lot of your time that you may not be willing to invest.
Yeah,
it's good overall though. I mean, first of all, you said like the narrator drones a lot, but of course, intentionally.
Yes.
But the narration in this game is absolutely spectacular.
It's great.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
great.
would question that. And actually, this would get huge points with my wife. She's a big reader, and she loves an unreliable narrator. And the fact that you do not know the narrator's intentions, you've never been introduced to this character, it's fun. It's like, do I trust this person? Do I not? They make you feel guilty for not doing it.
Yes.
There's an entire ending where it's like, why don't you just trust me? I'm trying to help you out, It's fun. It's funny. But the narrator is a top-tier performance, second to none. And I think it enhances the kind of... this is like a Douglas Adams type atmosphere, right?
Yeah. Yep.
For those that know Hitchhiker's Guide. This is very much, it feels that style of humor. It feels like you're just stuck in the middle of a Douglas Adams novel.
And the fact that the deluxe edition has 42 endings, I don't think is a coincidence.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sure there's some heavy inspiration there, if I had to guess.
Yeah. One thing that was interesting is real quick, just because, I've talked to you about this show. We occasionally swap, show ideas. And I mentioned the show Severance on Apple TV.
Yes.
Starring Adam Scott. That show actually took a lot of inspiration from this game.
That is awesome. I put it on my watch list immediately after you said that. So I'm absolutely planning on getting to it. But yeah, that's so cool.
I think once you watch it, you're going to see, oh, yeah, clearly someone enjoys the Stanley Parable on the writing team.
Sure, that's awesome. And that's actually another thing. I just said, like, the writers seemed to have fun making this game. Like, it seemed like it was just, like, a fun thing to do. I don't know how many people worked on it.
It looks so. I'm on the wiki right now because I like to kind of research as we talk, just in case anything interesting gets sparked. There was two people. There was Davey Redden and William Pugh, but originally it was just a mod that this Davey Redden was creating it in Half-Life 2.
Oh, okay.
So he actually created it in Half-Life 2 originally back in 2011. Then he worked with William Pugh to make a standalone remake using the Source engine. And then sometime later, they actually decided to make a full-blown game, and that's when they auditioned for voice actors. They got Kevin Brighting, a British actor, to do the narration. He did it in one take.
Whoa.
The whole thing in one take. Although I guess there were some bloopers they actually include in one of the endings, which is pretty funny.
Yes,
that was pretty cool. Yeah. So just the fact that this started as a mod and now it's a standalone game is absolutely amazing. And I want to clarify something. I started this by saying I hate the Stanley Parable, and I'm not taking that back. I really do, from a very personal standpoint. I don't enjoy thinking about topics like the pointlessness that is life.
Sure.
I don't enjoy thinking that my life has no meaning. I believe it does. And I really don't like the idea that I don't have any agency. I don't like the whole idea of predetermination versus free will. I don't like the idea of predetermination. Let me put it that way. Sure. I'm all about the free will. And this game is is dark in its approach to all those topics. And it made me uncomfortable, which, if that is their intention, other than being, fun and lighthearted with the narration, then they have succeeded on all marks.
Yeah, the way I see it is this way, and I do actually want to have a conversation with you because I'm actually kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum. I personally don't subscribe to nihilism. I agree with you as far as that front goes, but I find that I absolutely adore music and movies and shows and games that explore melancholy. Like, I think melancholy in itself is an emotion that is very easy to induce, but very hard to master, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
And I feel like a lot of people, when they are making melanchological content, have a tendency to lean toward nihilism and exploring that. But what I love about this game is, like, if I had to summarize the attitude of this game, it would be like, oh, have you heard of nihilism? No? Well, it doesn't matter because we're all just specks of dust anyway. It's like laughing at you, explaining
very
the
flippant towards it.
to somebody that doesn't know it. It is very like Douglas Adams is the only way I can really describe it.
Yeah.
But it's like funny. It like the joke is on you all the time, and it's like, I'm gonna make you experience these psychological concepts even if you deny that they're happening at all, which I think is fun, and that's why. Like, I don't subscribe to nihilism. I don't like nihilism in content. I think it's kind of a cheap thing, like making everything World War II, But I think it is done excellently in this, in that it subverts the fact that it's going that route to submerge completely into it. Like, it subverts a subversion, if that makes sense.
Maybe. I'd have to dwell on that a bit more. It subverts the subversion.
Yeah. I don't know. And I like some of the movies and shows and stuff that stick with me the most are like, I love Evangelion because it is like melanchological. The person that wrote it literally wrote their experience with depression as a show. So it's like empty and everyone is like broken in some sort of way. And it's like movies like Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, which is like literally everyone's going to die. And
Yes.
it's like, can you still find love at that time? Is very interesting. And a lot of music and stuff. That's the stuff that sticks with me the most.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it evokes an interesting emotion. And I find after playing the Stanley Parable, it sticks with me just as much as that media that explored those feelings in a way that was very interesting, but not in a way that was in your face about it or too much. Like it's subtlety you have to pick up on, I feel, until the Stanley Parable, which flaunts it, puts it in your face, but then says, it's not here. What are you doing? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay. No, I always appreciate your takes. That we have similar but very different takes on a lot of things. And what I appreciate, though, is anytime we don't agree on something, you are able to explain it in such a way that I can say, even if I still don't agree,
Sure.
I get it.
Sure.
And I really like that you can just explain your viewpoint as such a clear and understandable take.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I consider myself a rather upbeat person. I am, very much just anti-nihilism in every aspect of my life.
Yes.
But I so regularly find myself in my free time, like delving into melancholy as almost like an outlet to get like these feelings and ideas out of myself. So much so, actually, it's funny that, I don't know, a few years ago, my wife was like, hey, I don't want to do anything for Valentine's Day, but could you just like make me a mixtape? And I looked through all of my songs, and every single song I have on my Spotify is all breakup music.
Oh, fantastic.
It's like, I love my
She didn't specify.
Yeah, I have a fantastic relationship. I'm very happy with it. But just media and stuff I explore tends to follow down that route. So this was like dessert for me. Because it was like making fun of all of that at the same time and being like, yeah, the world is endless and there's agency, but I don't know if this was available to you or if this was a DLC thing for the deluxe edition, but there is one ending straight up, and this is a very minor spoiler, but you'll be seeing in the video if you're watching. So like skip ahead like maybe a minute. They just tell you straight up, the only way to have your agency back is to quit this game right now.
I that was in the standard edition as well.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought that was like, it just seems so funny. Like, it didn't tickle me at the time, but thinking back on it was just like, it was just so funny. I don't know. It's just like, it's subverting its own, everything it's saying, it's underhandedly doing the opposite at the same time. And then it's doing the opposite of that underhanded action at the same time. It's just really fun psychological concepts to explore. But
so I'm curious.
I can understand anybody not liking that.
I am curious. So you said when we opened this conversation up, I said I hated it.
Yeah.
And you said you really enjoyed it, and you really are singing its praises quite a bit, and again explaining every point you're making. But you also said you're not going to play it anymore.
No. It's because, like I said, I got more of it after the fact. Like thinking back, reflecting, like in the shower the next day. That's when I enjoyed the Stanley Parable the most. Like
interesting.
After I was finished with it. And I'm happy with the experience I had. And like I said before, some of the endings just really ask for your time, and the ones that don't hit. You know.
Okay.
I feel like I got everything I want from the game. Not everything I'm going to get, because I'm sure if I go back, there's more. I just don't. I don't feel like I need anymore. I feel like I got a really good feeling from the game. I feel like I explored the depths of what it wanted me to explore, and it was fun, and I had a great time. But it's like I had a fling with this game. It's over now.
Got it. Okay. No, I think that's fair. I think for me, and not only again did the subject not resonate with me, obviously,
Sure.
I think the reason I wouldn't go back is so I looked up after I stopped playing last night some of the other endings that I hadn't seen. And some of them are the most convoluted and obtuse, and I don't know how any single person could have figured these all out. And I don't want to sit down I don't like anything where I need a guide to see and do everything.
Sure.
Now, this is coming from someone who enjoys making guides for games, but I make them not to say you need this to play this game or even to play this game well. This is just something in addition that you can add to your repertoire of tools and resources. But I feel like if I want to see everything that the Stanley Parable has, which I don't, but if I did, I need to sit down with one of these guys and just have a tally counter and just check this off. And that's to me not why I sit down to play a game.
Sure. I agree completely, but I feel just by playing it, that feels like the design. Like, I feel like the design of the game is how much of this can you take, not can you do it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way
Sure.
I felt.
Sure.
So, okay. I said let's cap it off with your question.
Yeah.
But truly having this discussion, what makes a game?
This is not an easy question to answer.
No.
Obviously. And I think we could probably spend all night going back and forth and coming up with what we think is the perfect definition. And someone else is going to come along and say, yeah, well, what about this? I'm like, oh, crud. We didn't think about that.
Sure.
And this game, more than any others, has made me stop and think, what is a game? What makes a game? I think one of the only thing that I can say that is true across all spectrum of the media is that there's some sort of input from the user. And that input can take just about any form. And I used to think, like I said, before I sat down and played this, that the object was to, or the goal was to enjoy yourself.
Sure.
And I don't think that that's true. So I'm kind of at a loss. This game has me thinking, and I don't know. I know less than what I did going into it. So I'm just curious, opening it up to you. Sure. Do you have any ongoing working definition?
Yeah. I said earlier, and I believe this to be the case, that video games are art. And as far as I know, the definition of art, or the way I would define art, would be anything created to express emotion or part of the human condition, or to elicit emotion specifically, not to express it. I feel like if you extrapolate the definition of art to a video game, it is some kind of software that requires a user input in order to match the expression or understand the intention to express from a creative person. Someone that, a game feels like an interactive medium to connect with an experience that another human has created for you to enjoy. Or to evoke, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to put an exact definition on it, I guess.
It is.
But just, I don't know. Some kind
I see where you're going.
Software interaction made to evoke or create an emotion in either the player or understanding the creator's intent. I think the best games do that to great effect. Best... games that are in settings that you would not normally be interested in, feature characters that are not like you, don't have any of your lived experiences, don't reflect you in any way, can be just as meaningful because there is art and emotion behind it. And I think that's the point of games. Actually, something kind of similar. My wife asked me a while ago, you grew up loving games. And I didn't. We're the same age, why didn't that happen? And to me, the way I always experienced games was my connection with other people my age.
Yes.
And it's a story. I get the same thing out of a book, but I get to play this book and I get to hear this book and I get to feel in some ways this book. So yeah, I don't know. That kind of makes me think that's a game,
So that brings up another topic, and I don't think that it's something we should try to dive into now, but something for future thought, and maybe actually just gave me an idea for a list for this coming week.
Okay.
This idea of, so you just mentioned a book. I get the same thing out of a book, but I don't get to play the book.
Right.
And yet, there's more interaction and involvement in a game, even if it's not social, even if it's a single player, you're by yourself, there's more engagement in that piece of software than there is in sitting and reading a book. And I literally mean like physical engagement, right?
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. Not emotionally and cognitive and all that.
They're not,
but so I'm curious, and again, topic for another time, but why do you suppose society, and I hate that phrase now, thanks
You're
Joker.
putting on your Joker makeup.
Oh gosh. Why does society at large seem to have such a negative perception of, oh, you're wasting your time playing games. Why don't you pick up a book, buddy?
Sure. I think that, I mean, I have an answer for you. That's just the way our culture's evolved. It used to be that with newspaper, you know? If you look, there used to be political cartoons and stuff of people with their noses in newspapers. And then it evolved to like cell phones, and then it evolved to Game Boys, and other way around. Sorry, Game Boys, and then the cell phones. But and like laptops and stuff. Everyone makes the same cultural critique, and it's just because people have a tendency to be narrowed by their own lived experiences and then project that onto others. That's why we have these discussions like, oh, when did video games become political? It's like, no, it's just something you weren't involved in that you're now made aware of. You know what I mean?
Right. Look at Mario.
Exactly. I didn't know about plumbing for the longest time.
Yeah, right. They hid the white collar jobs.
Exactly. We need more white collar visibility. Plus, Mario's a blue collar worker. But okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. My bad. See? And games have twisted my perception of the collars.
Because he wears blue overalls that he was a white collar worker.
And I'm colorblind, so really naturally, that mix-up was bound to happen.
No, I think that it just wasn't acceptable. Like, it isn't viewed as acceptable, as it's viewed as childish because it's the new thing to point at. But soon it won't be anymore,
It'll be the Apple headset thing.
Yeah, the Vision Pro.
There it is, yeah.
No, it will always be something. And it could even be educational. Like, if everyone started reading textbooks tomorrow on the subway, then that would be like, why do these kids always have their faces in a textbook? They should be learning about blue-collar jobs.
Or white-collar.
Right. And here, we just have a generation of people that want to eliminate the Kitrid, and they're doing everything they can.
Oh, would you please? That'd be so beneficial.
Sure. Well, not to eliminate it. Then you'd ruin an ecosystem. But at least to, suppress it.
Wow. Well, has this been like our deepest forgot to save yet? You were deep. I was real shallow. But that's kind of my role in this.
I think that you were there. You just didn't step back and look at what was around you.
I'm not great at that, if I'm being honest.
Sure. I genuinely think that is one of the hardest things to do. Is having self-awareness genuinely is one of the most difficult things to do.
Yes. Yeah. It is. And maybe part of it is because I am programmed to, when I sit down to play a game, to kind of turn off that receptive part of my brain that says, hey, maybe there's something deeper here than what meets the eye.
Sure. And if we were having a discussion while I was playing the Stanley Parable, even this game,
very different.
This would be 180, I would probably be unhappy.
Yeah, or 360 even.
Whoa. A double 180.
Subvert the subversion.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know, the benefit of hindsight, I'm happy that I had that experience. I don't know, it's fun.
That's cool.
It's fun. It's cool. This is what the game was made for this thought-provoking thing. And I'm happy it's in the rear view. In a good way, in the best way possible.
Well, the doors are opening, the light is shining in, we are free of the Stanley Parable, for better or for worse. And as always, though, before we wrap up, we haven't really called out all of you and welcomed you into the discussion and welcomed you to not only talk about the Stanley Parable with us in the comments and in the Discord, link is certainly in the description, but also to continue to offer your suggestions for upcoming games that we can add to our list. We have gotten several. I just got one the other day that I already called dibs on, and I'm very excited about it.
Sure,
So it's so exciting to see the engagement from all of you, and please keep it coming.
Yeah, I agree. As well as suggesting upcoming games. And I love reading people's predictions when we have rounds where we are presenting each other games. What the games actually are. Those are some of my favorite comments to read.
Yes.
If there's some kind of discussion you guys would like to talk about too, we're more than open to it. I mean, we're usually recording these a month in advance, and what we typically talk about is whatever's in the news right there. But if there's a topic or something you guys would like to hear discussion on, drop it in the comments, drop it in the Discord. It's all great.
This has been fun.
Yeah, I think
this whole podcast has been fun, but this has been an especially enlightened episode, if you will.
I don't know about that. It feels like it's the first shovel in the ground in a much deeper conversation that we don't have the time or qualification for, you know.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think we need your wife on board for that discussion.
Yeah.
To talk about the sunk cost fallacy.
Of course. Yep. Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah, your favorite psychological conundrum didn't come up in this game that I saw, unfortunately.
No, it didn't. And I don't know how they could have worked that in, but I might reach out to Davey Redden and see if we can get him to, in the Ultra Deluxe remaster.
Sure. Yes.
See if we can get them to work that in.
Yeah, you play the Stanley Parable 2 in the Ultra Deluxe version, so we already know.
Is that true? I've heard that. Is that true?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, super recommend playing it. Experience it for yourself. Go in with an open mind and understand that you are the butt of the joke.
You very much are, and I guess don't take itself or yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
And you'll enjoy it.
Be okay.
I apparently was not in the right frame of mind.
Be okay dipping your toes into a little bit of nihilism, but exercise healthy skepticism and understand that there are many different views of the world, and yours isn't necessarily right or wrong in comparison to other
That's
people's.
true.
So
very true. Seek to understand, not to be right.
Exactly. And I think that's a great place to leave it off. Hope to hear from you guys in the comments, in the Discord. Blue, thanks for a great discussion. And I
Absolutely.
hope to see more
Thank you.
content from you throughout this upcoming month until Dragon's Dogma.
It's coming.
2.
I think I'm about to go play some Dragon's Dogma right now, honestly.
I'm actually so excited for that. I can't wait to see what you upload tomorrow.
Oh, man. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching / listening to the Forgot to Say podcast. And we'll see you again real soon.